This November, voters will have a say on the future of abortion rights in Kentucky. It all comes down to Constitutional Amendment number 2.
And although the short amendment may seem pretty straightforward, some people may be confused about what it actually means for abortion access. LEX 18's political reporter Carolina Buchek breaks down what happens with a yes vote or a no vote.
God save the United States and this honorable court.
In June, the Supreme Court of the United States reversed Roe v. Wade, which for 50 years federally protected abortion rights.
Hands off our bodies!
And it became clear
this is a Yes for Life rally.
Abortion access would be battled over in each state. And in Kentucky, voters will play a role in this fight. At the very end of their ballot, voters will find a question. Do they want to add this sentence to Kentucky's Constitution? It says, quote, "Nothing in this Constitution shall be construed to secure or protect a right to abortion or require the funding of abortion." And at first glance, it may seem like this sentence is a complete abortion ban, but it's more complicated than that. If voters say yes to this amendment, it itself does not equal an abortion ban. What it actually does is it restricts what the courts can do. Courts could no longer interpret that there is a right to abortion. And here's why that matters. If an anti-abortion law is legally challenged, the courts wouldn't be able to stop the law because the Constitution would be clear. It would not secure or protect a right to abortion. That means the General Assembly would be completely in charge of abortion in Kentucky because state lawmakers hold the power to pass laws that either allow or block abortion access. And the Republican supermajorities have already taken action. They've passed several anti-abortion laws, including the 2019 Trigger Law, which is the law that is currently banning most abortions in Kentucky.
All right.
That law is currently tied up in a legal battle, and those who are trying to get rid of the ban are arguing that Kentucky's Constitution protects access to the full spectrum of reproductive health care, including abortion. Now, this lawsuit has made its way all the way to Kentucky's High Court, and the state Supreme Court is soon scheduled to decide whether or not abortion is a right protected by the state constitution. But that will happen after Election Day, meaning voters will have already decided whether or not to change the Constitution. So if Amendment number 2 passes, meaning anti-abortion language is put into the Constitution, it narrows what the court can do. But if Amendment number 2 fails, that doesn't mean the abortion ban is lifted. It'll still be in place, but the legal challenges to the ban have a chance to win in court. So that's what the amendment fight is directly about. But at the end of the day, abortion access is on the line. In Frankfort, Carolina Buchek, Evening Edition.